Picture this, you are playing Super Mario, you run, you jump, and you fall straight into a pit. What do? You don't sit there and think, I am a failure in life. I should probably give up on plumbing forever. No, you hit restart and continue again. You remember where that pit was and you try again. But now, imagine you are in a classroom or a corporate office. You make a mistake in your project or you turn an assignment late. Suddenly, points are deducted. You are penalized. You are stigmatized. And instead of wanting to try again, you just want to quit. Why is it that we can fail 1,000 times in a video game and love it, but one failure in real life paralyzes us? The answer reveals a fundamental flaw, how our society is built, and a psychological hack that can double your persistence. As toddlers, we were scientists. Failure was frictionless. When you were learning to walk, you failed constantly. But your parents didn't deduct the walking points or record your falls on permanent transcript. But as we grow up, failure changes. It becomes quantified, penalized, and recorded. We move from a word of trial and error to a word of failure aversion. This aversion stifles innovation and kills our intrinsic motivation. But what if we could trick our brain into returning to that toddler mindset? That's what researchers call Super Mario effect. To prove this, former NASA engineer Mark Rober, the guy who worked on Mars Curiosity rover, conducted a massive experiment. He told his YouTube audience he had a coding challenge. Navigate a virtual car through maze using code blocks. 50,000 people took the bait, but Rover was running a A/B test. He split the participants into two groups. Both had 200 points at starting. If you failed in group A, the screen said, "That didn't work. Please try again. No points lost." But in group B, if you failed, it said, "That didn't work. You lost 5 points. Now you have 195 points. Please try again." Here is the crazy part. Those points meant nothing. They were not tied to money, fame, or grades. They were just digital ink on a screen. You might think that 5-point penalty is too small to matter, but the data was staggering. No penalty group had 68% success rate. The penalty group only 52%. But look at the attempts. The people who were not penalized tried the puzzle 2.5 times more than the people who were penalized. It was not that group A was smarter. Their success was direct mathematical consequence of their persistence. By removing the penalty, Rover created a frictionless restart. Why did meaningless points make 50,000 people quit? It's a concept from behavioral economics called loss aversion. Evolutionarily, pain of losing a resource is twice as intense as the joy of gaining one. And Mark Rober proved that your brain doesn't care if the resource is real or fake. When Group B saw their score drop, their goal shifted. They were not trying to learn code anymore. They were trying to stop the bleeding. The moment the cost of failing outweighed the cost of joy, they walked away. This connects to work of Stanford professor Carol Beck. She found that if you praise a child for being smart, a fixed mindset, they stop taking risks because they don't want to look not smart if they fail. In a 1998 study, kids praised for efforts showed high persistence after failure. But kids praised for intelligence saw their performance collapse after just one difficult task. The Super Mario effect is an automated growth mindset. When you fall into a pit, you don't say, "I'm not smart enough to jump." You say, "I need a different strategy." We are seeing this in education too. Researchers created a game called Refraction that uses brain points. They did not just reward the right answer. They rewarded effort, strategy variation, and incremental progress. It worked. The low performing students stayed in the game much longer. Even companies like Google use this. In blameless post-mortems, when a server goes down, they assume the engineer worked with good intention. When they removed the penalty of being blamed, incident recovery times were cut in half. But wait, can we gamify everything? Is failure always a good teacher? A 15-year-old study of cardiothoracic surgeons found something sobering. While surgeons do learn from their mistakes, they eventually hit a saturation point. When the stakes are life and death, where the cost is irreversible and real, the cognitive load of failure becomes too heavy. The brain stops learning and starts degrading. The Super Mario effect is a superpower, but it requires a low stake environment. It works when the pits are digital and restarts are frictionless. We have built a world that penalizes the very process required to succeed. We use late penalties in schools that make students want to give up rather than catching up. We use leaderboards in offices that kill the joy of work. The lesson of Super Mario effect is not that we should treat our life like a game. It's that we should re-architect our world so the fear of pit never stops us from reaching the princess. So next time you fail, you ask yourself, am I losing real points or I am just afraid of meaningless numbers? I'm Saurav. Thanks for watching.